Good morning. I wanted to advance the discussion on the identity of the sea beast from Revelation 13. Today we're going to look at a few defining characteristics of this beast that will help us understand who is it or what is this beast. So let's dive right into it. Remember last time we ended by discussing a few parallels between the sea beast and the person and the ministry and the life of Jesus Christ. And we identified a number of such parallels. I left one for today and for an important reason. And if you look in the text, the end portion of verse 4, where people who are admiring the beast or worshiping the beast say, "Who is like the beast?" Scholars are telling us that for a first century Jewish person who would read this text, this would be an unmistakable allusion to Michael. In the Old Testament and even the New Testament and the Revelation, there are multiple places. It shows up in several very significant passages, a lot of them prophecies, including in Daniel as well as in Revelation. And it's a title assigned to Christ in his fight against the dragon, Satan. Even a chapter earlier, in chapter 12, we see Michael featuring there prominently against the dragon. And in the Hebrew language, the meaning of the word Michael is who is like God. And so when we see this thing here, who is like the beast, is yet another, and very powerful at that, parallel analogy between the sea beast and the person and the ministry, the work of Jesus Christ. In other words, look at me, the beast, I am Christ, basically. I'm substituting myself in place of Christ. And who is like me? Who can overcome me? Who can fight against me? Here's what I think it's important to understand about the identity of this beast. As John sits on the seashore and sees this beast coming out of the water, for any student of the Bible, the sequence is unmistakable. The body was like a leopard, the feet were like a bear's, the mouth was like a lion's mouth. These are three beasts, the leopard, the bear, and the lion, would send us straight to Daniel chapter 7. This is a prophet in the Old Testament that described his visions of the earth history and the empires that would succeed one after another on the earth's history. And the way they were presented to him in vision were in the shape of beasts, of wild animals. Babylon shows up like a lion. The Medo-Persian Empire is this big bear. Then the Alexander the Great and the Greek Empire shows like this leopard, this fast leopard. And then there is this fourth beast that looks like nothing else. It's fearsome, it's frightful. And in fact, when the angel comes to decipher the symbols of this prophecy to Daniel later in chapter 7, he specifically says, I wanted to know the meaning of the fourth beast, this fearsome beast, which was different from all the ones, and it was most terrifying, and it had iron teeth and bronze claws and crushed everything and destroyed everything in its path. And also, interestingly enough, in the description of this fourth beast in Daniel 7, he sees that it has 10 horns, but 3 of them are uprooted, are destroyed by a little one that comes up under them, uproots these 3 horns, and grows and becomes very powerful. And here is the explanation he gets from the angel. This fourth beast is going to be a kingdom that will be on the earth. It will be like nothing that was there before. And the 10 horns are 10 kings or 10 fragments of this big beast that it will break into. And then after them, another king will arise, different. This is very important to realize. This term of different is very, very important. He will subdue 3 kings, though 3 horns that were destroyed by it. He will speak against the Most High and oppose his people and try to change the set times and the laws. The holy people will be delivered in his hands for a time, times, and half a time. So these 2 verses here, 24 and 25, are extremely important in our discussion of Revelation 13 because, and I'm going to make the case here, I'm not by any means the first one to make it, but I think it's a very strong case to make, that this fourth beast of Daniel 7 is similar to this sea beast that comes out of the sea, because it mentions the other ones in reverse orders, but it doesn't mention the fourth. As John looks at it, the fourth is not there. The reason being, this beast that he's seeing coming out of the water is, in good part, similar to this fourth beast that he has seen. Moreover, if we read the description of the work and the activities and the feats of this beast coming from the sea, it's very similar to the work of this little horn that comes out and destroys 3 of those other horns of the 10 of that fourth beast in Daniel 7. And if we want to delve a little bit into that, look what this sea beast is doing. The beast was giving a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words. In Daniel 7, the little horn speaks against the Most High and his people and persecutes them. It was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. This is the lifespan of this beast, up to the point that John is seeing it in the vision here. Remember, we talked about these verbs being in the past tense. This is the biography up to that point of the sea beast. 42 months. If we convert that in years, it's 3.5 years. This is a mimicking of the ministry of Jesus Christ, which was publicly 3.5 years before he was crucified, from the time he inaugurated his ministry by emerging from the water after John's baptism. The same way, the beast comes out of the water and exercises authority for 42 months, which is 3.5 prophetic years. These are not real literal years. In Daniel 7, the little horn, when it comes out and uproots those 3 other kings, it persecutes the saints for times and a half time. That is 3.5 years. Another element of identity that help us realize that we are talking about the same entity. In Daniel 7, we have the succession of political kingdoms, from Babylon all the way to ancient pagan Rome. Those were primarily political entities. However, they mixed religion in their politics. In Rome at the time of John, and not only, the emperor was a god. They demanded worship. This beast traces its ancestry, its pedigree in those religious political powers of old and continues that tradition. But remember in Daniel 7, where it says this little horn is different. There is something unique. There is something different about this little horn that is not similar to the other kingdoms that were present up until that point. And what could it be? I think it's not so much the political aspect of it, because it traces its ancestry in those ancient kingdoms. It's a political power. There's no question of that. The element of difference and uniqueness that John is talking about, or Daniel was talking about in chapter 7, and John is expanding upon here in Revelation 13, it'll speak against the Most High, it'll oppress his people, it'll try to change set times and laws. Christians in the United States and other places make a big deal, and rightly so, I think, within its parameters, about the 10 Commandments. And yet we don't realize that this entity that has been active for 42 prophetic months has been changing the law, and it's been changed already for a long time, and has been very successful in doing that, to the point where most of Christianity today takes that for granted. Think about that. That is a fulfillment of this statement here. Who is like the beast and who can fight against it? People just worship it all over the place. In fact, if you look here, it says every tribe, people, and language and nation will worship it, would follow the beast. If you go just a chapter further in Revelation, chapter 14, you will see the opposite work that the followers of Christ, the remnant, is doing in the end times. And they are also having the work addressed to the same audience, every tribe, every people, every language and nation. They are bringing that everlasting gospel to that same audience that the sea beast is ensnaring with its deception, with its power and authority that it gets from the dragon. So therein lies the essence of the conflict at the end of time. You have this sea beast, power and given authority by the dragon to spread a false gospel, counterfeit of the work of Jesus Christ, and to deceive people away from that. And then you have the remnant, the followers of Christ, bringing the true gospel to the same audience, who is going to choose between one of these two options eventually. And I want to close today by making another point, that this sea beast is a religious power, but it's not just a religion. It's a Christian apostate power. And the reason I say that, among others, is that it's fighting against the remnant of the church following Jesus Christ. What does a remnant mean? A remnant is a small piece from a whole. So if the remnant is what's persecuted by this entity, powered by the dragon, by Satan, then the whole, the rest of it, is most likely the beast. So what this is telling us is that in the end times, the sea beast and the earth beast that we're going to study next time is going to exercise authority about everywhere on earth, one way or another. But it's not going to be some pagan, alien religion that is going to promote. It's going to be mainstream Christian religion. And this is where the identity of this sea beast has to be looked at.